The first presenter today is Candace Campbell. She attended York Suburban School District. She is going to be going to St. Louis University. She spent a year in Poland. Our second presenter is Kathryn Fogleman. She attended New York City School District. She also was a senior and will be going to Valparaiso University, where she'll be studying civil engineering. Our third presenter is Rachel Taylor. She went to Dallastown. She also graduated, and she's going to Salisbury University. I was joking and said that maybe she was studying states. I hope you guys do better. But she actually said no, because Purdue sponsors and a lot of the schools, so maybe, but she's not studying that either. She's studying journalism and business. Before I turn the podium over to Candace, to Kathryn, and to Rachel, I just wanted to tell you two things. First, we are accepting applications through the end of September from students who would be interested in doing what they have done next year. We will train them this year. If you know of a student who is a sophomore or a junior who would be interested in this type of a program, please encourage them to go to exchangestudent.org and look at the application, look at the information about the program, have them contact me if they have questions, and encourage them to apply. The second thing that I wanted to say is that the biggest challenge that our youth exchange program faces every year is recruiting host families. If there's anything that would cause us to reduce the scale of our program or to eliminate the program, it would be that challenge. So, if you know of families in the Dallastown, York Suburban, or West York School District for this year's 3 students that we have from other countries coming here, if you know families that might be interested in hosting, would you please let someone on our youth exchange committee or that bird know so that we can talk about it. You don't have to persuade them or anything else. You just have to identify them for us. We can take it from there, but we do need your community outreach in order to recruit host families. So please help us with that. So without further ado, I would like to turn the podium over to Candace Campbell, who went to Poland for 3 years. Candace.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Candace Campbell, and it's a it was like, oh, you guys are so similar to my family, you just speak a different language. And my co-sister on the right, she was in Nevada 3 years ago on exchange through Rotary also. And so she spoke perfect English. Her English was fabulous. And when I got to Poland, I knew very little Polish because it's a very difficult language. And so it was really nice to have a co-sister my own age who spoke my language that I really had a connection with, and she introduced me to all of her friends. And so I really had a social life to start off, even in my first week of being in Poland, which I'm very grateful for. My host mom, who's next to me, and my host sister, I credit her for quickly learning Polish, because I remember it was a really daunting task, because before I went over, I was so worried because I took Spanish all throughout my high school years, and the month before I left, I was thinking, oh man, I should have gone somewhere that spoke Spanish, because Polish is so hard. But she doesn't speak any English, and so if I wanted to talk to my host mom, I had to speak in Polish. And I think that I learned the most Polish just sitting on my couch with my mom and talking for 2 hours every day, just about my day, about the U.S., about her day. And it was not only a great way to bond with her, but it was also a great way to learn the language. And my host said he's just a really nice guy, and it was wonderful to be able to live with somebody that was so laid back and just a really friendly guy. Okay, this is actually in front of my school. In Poland, the schools, they don't have names like here in the U.S. They have numbers. So you can see up there, it says 13. So I went to 13. And my dad always jokes because he says, like, oh, go fighting 13. So it's just stupid, but these are the Polish friends that I made in my class. And I think a lot of exchange students, I know some exchange students in Poland, they thought, oh, well, the Polish schools, they don't take attendance every day, so maybe I will go. But I went to school every day because that's where I met my friends. I didn't go to school necessarily to learn and calculus and everything. I went to school to see Ola and Boya and Natalia. I went so that I could see my friends. And that's a picture at the end of the school year. You can see that it was still sort of cold because we're all wearing long pants and jackets. But that was a picture at the end of the school year with all of my friends from school. And this is something very similar to what we have in the U.S. It's called studniówka, but it's very similar to prom. And they only have it their senior year, and they have a huge test at the end of the year. And so this dance, or this celebration, is 100 days before this test. That's why it's called studniówka, because 100 means 100, and so it's like 100 days before this test. And I was lucky enough to be able to, I got invited to go along, and I think towards the left, maybe 3 or 4 rows in, but it's fun because I know it's hard to see in this picture, but all of the people in Poland, when they get a picture taken, they don't smile. They do what I call the Polish smile, which is just like very small, just like a model almost, and their eyes are like grinning my face off, so you can always tell that, oh, she's the American, she's smiling at everybody else. These are pierogies that I made. We had a language camp for the first 2 weeks in Poland, and we made like 3 huge bags of pierogi, and it was just really fun and it was delicious. I think my one friend actually ate like an entire one of those buckets alone. Everyone was saying, oh, I ate so much, I ate 10. I was like, that's nothing. I ate like 50. But seriously, they're so good. Those in the middle of that picture, they're ruskie, which is potato and cheese and onion. And that's a very like traditional one. And the one on the left, those are blueberry pierogies. So they have, basically you can fill them with anything. It's like the dumpling of Poland. And just a contrast, I tried to show my host family turkey because whenever anybody says like, oh, what's American food, people don't know like turkey because they think of Thanksgiving. So I made it for my host sister's birthday in January, but I didn't know how to carve a turkey, and neither did my host family. So what my mom did, she took these huge like And so it's a really cute, like 3-minute video, but you'll get to hear me speaking Polish. You'll get to see a lot of the kids that were in my city, and I think it's just a really sweet video. There's some words in Polish that I'll translate, but yeah. This is the best of us. Our young exchangers.
Hello, my name is Kathryn. I spent the past year in Rio. I went to the time presentation basically comparing and contrasting a lot of my life here and my life there in Rio. So the way youth interacts is very different from what I'm used to here. The first day I got there, my host brother's friend came over and everyone was hugging and kissing on the cheeks. Two kisses on the cheek every time was very strange. And there's a joke that they say that when presenting these in American, presenting was stuck closer and American was stuck back. And so I had a lot of interaction with school then. I studied at 2 schools in the end. My first school, my class size was about 20 people. That was very normal. You stay in the same class all day long. Your teachers in the classrooms. School was about 7:30 to 12 every day, which is a very short day. It was actually me. But the subjects are a little bit different than what we take. I never took geography in high school, so I learned a lot more about the world. I feel like we study a lot more about U.S. geography, and they study more about the world. And they do grow up together in their classrooms. Normally, you study in one school. If you're middle class or above, you'll go to a private school because the public school system is just not very strong. So normally, you'll be in the same class with everyone since you're 3 years old. So it's a little bit hard as an exchange student to go in there and to try and find your way. But they're very open and I can make great friends. I did move to another school halfway through the year. And I moved an hour and a half from where I originally was. And I did study with 2 other exchange students in my class, so that was different. And when I first arrived there, it wasn't a newness. Oh, it's an exchange student, that's a big deal. Not so much that anymore. So I had to really conversate to initiate the friendships. Sports, unlike the U.S., sports you have to find outside of school. This is a really cool sport called capoeira, and it's a martial arts that originated from the slaves. And the slave masters banned martial art. So to keep practicing, the slaves changed the way the martial art, and they changed it to more of a dance. And the object of the martial art is to not hit one another. So that was very cool. When you're sightseeing, this is the surprised, of course. You normally have English, Spanish, and German-speaking guides, but walking through the city, you're not going to find as much English-speaking. The population isn't so comfortable with English as the young people are in Europe. For my leisure time, I really enjoy spending time at the beach because I'm right there. This is in the name of the beach at night. So in the afternoons, a lot of people, students will study the third year of school because at the end of the third year is a big test to get to college. Unlike the U.S., grades don't matter in high school grades, so it's just relying on this test. But everyone else after school normally will go to the beach, they'll go out at night, to clubs, just socializing at bars. So it's very different leisure activities. The exchange students, like Candace said, are really become family to you because you all have a common bond. You know that if you have any troubles, you can always talk to them and see how their year's going, what advice they might give to you. And now I have friends in Europe and many different places in the U.S. I know if I feel the need to travel again, I have a place to stay. The food was very different for me. Lunch is the biggest meal of the day. It's always some sort of meat and rice and beans. So at the end of the day, I was very tired of rice and beans and ready to come back to mom's cooking. The city life is very close and it's always moving. When I lived in Rio, they say New York is a city that never sleeps, but I felt like Rio was. There's buses running all night long. There's not much of a suburb life. It's either you're in a rural area or in a city life. This is Fukushima. It's the biggest slum in South America. It's on one of the mountains overlooking the beach in Brazil. This is, the picture on the right is about halfway, I think a third way up the mountain, so you can see how packed it really is. That's been taken care of. There's a lot of drug lords and things, but in preparation for the games, they have been taking care of all of that. It is now a very touristy place. Actually, coming back from Nicholas, the exchange student that was here with you for this past year, was part of my host brother for my first family. When I came back from dropping him off at the airport, that was the first time I saw Fukushima at night. I saw the lights on the mountain, and I commented to my host on how beautiful it is. And she just turned and looked at me and she said, "That's the slum. That's not beautiful. It's really ugly." Of course, music, we always think of samba or Brazil, but there's so much more. But it is very prevalent. And in a little restaurant, you go to, there'll be some little band playing. It's usually, they're not playing for money, they're playing for their own enjoyment and for the joy that they see other people receiving. One of my favorite things that I learned about in the first week was that they have two different words for what we consider graffiti. This is called pichação. They consider this to be an art. They really enjoy it. It's not quite as looked down on as we look down on graffiti here. This was from Christmas. The first Christmas I ever spent with 115 degrees sweating. There, it's December 24th is basically the night we celebrate Christmas, and then the 25th is no big deal, back to normal life. So that was very different for me. But the whole month of December was not a big deal. It was just Christmas Day. I'm always used to the Christmas music, going to church, getting ready, seeing Christmas coming. But then New Year's was a huge deal. This is Copacabana Beach. It's one of the biggest New Year's celebrations in the world. It's about a 15-minute choreographed fireworks show, and you can see in the back, there's cruise ships that come just for the show. Standing here lonely, that people get a little crazy, but you have to make sure you're with whoever you came with, and people usually walk through the crowds holding hands so they don't get separated. This was a picture from, I went on a trip to the northeast of Brazil with 90 other exchange students, and so the nightlife is really how you socialize in Brazil, and it's very popular to go out dancing, just have a lot of fun with your friends. And I realized there that young people go out more than we do here. I feel like we have more as our school clubs, and we make our friends that way. You have to go out to make your friends in Brazil. had 2 host families, and I learned a lot from each one, of course, and I had different relationships with each family. This first host family was very cool. Not only learned about the Brazilian culture, but my host mother on the right, she was born and raised in Chile. So I learned about Brazilian culture as well, a little bit of Spanish. Sometimes it was strange. Being in that family, that was when I learned a little Portuguese, but I wasn't sure all the time, was I learning Spanish or was I learning Portuguese? I had a temporary host family for about a week, and my host that year was actually from Argentina, so once again I learned a little bit of Spanish. They were great. It was actually kind of a last minute move, and they opened the house up for me, and I had a wonderful relationship with them. My last host family was probably the host family I felt most comfortable with. I felt like that was my real sister, they have a special place in my heart. I haven't been able to talk to them as much as I would like to coming back yet because I work at a summer camp and there's no internet, so I'm really excited for the end of this week to talk to them, to see talk to their daughter who is on exchange here. So this is a picture of Rio from the Sugarloaf Mountains. It really is a beautiful city, distinctly a marvelous city. And it's always going to have a special place in my heart. It's my second home. And reflecting back on my year, I just want to thank Rotary, thank my host families, thank my family for trusting me and giving me this opportunity. And it was the experience of a lifetime. I have new family members, new friends, and a new language. And that's all thanks to you guys. Thank you.
And then in school, we also Then we did a lip dub, which is where you sing and dance. It's like a continuous stream of action and dancing and singing to a song for my senior class. So that was cool because I got to do it with all my good friends. And then I was a superhero day. So I was Captain America, and everyone wanted to get a picture with my flag. So that was fun. And then the Rotary, with all of the 25 exchange students in my district, we went to Dunkirk, the Carnival of Dunkirk. And it's nothing like the Carnival in Rio or anything like that, but you still have hundreds of people dressing up, like the men dressed up as women, and it's just an explosion of color, and it was really cool to participate in something that's over 800 years old, maybe 1,000 years old, that they've been doing this. Then I'm a big soccer fan and football and sport fan, so I was lucky enough that my first family had season tickets to the professional soccer team in Lille, and I went to about 5 games in total. I went one time with my best friend, another American exchange student, and it was so surreal to see people like this team. I didn't get to go to the Paris game, but my host brother went to the Paris game and saw Beckham, and it was just, it's so surreal that you can actually go, and it's not expensive. Like here, if you want to go to a football game, it's hard to find tickets, and it's hard if you want to pay that much money. And over there, it's about $30 a ticket. So I was able to do that and participate in that culture. As for other things that I really got into the French culture, I tried escargot twice, but then they sent me to escargot farm when I went on a little trip with other exchange students. And like, here's the real escargot, and we're gonna go eat some now. And I can't do it. It was too much. Like, it's gross and it didn't work out. I did show American culture a little bit too. We had a talent show, and me and my 2 other American friends, 2 other exchange students, we did Pat and Joe because they don't have a dance over there. So that was interesting. And at the bottom, that's not all my friends, but there were like 10 girls that I really got to know really well. And it was just, I really tried to immerse myself in the culture. And I did spend time with other exchange students, but it was more like I didn't have to just spend time with exchange students. I did have French friends too, so it was really nice. I got to travel so much. I was so lucky with my host families and with the Rotary over there. I went to Paris at least 10 times, and I went on vacations with my host families. We went shopping at Christmas. It was really cool to see all different aspects of Paris, and now it's weird because I'm familiar with such a well-known city, and people always are like, oh, you like Paris? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I know it so well now that it's just incredible. I also went to Brussels because Lille is about 20 minutes off the Belgian border, so we would go on day trips, shopping, and stuff like that. And this was in February. It was freezing, but I got to walk around and it was covered in snow, and it's definitely a different. There's French aspects of it, but there's definitely, it's weird because we do have the Flemish culture mixed in with it. And those are chocolates. That was a good little into that. I spent Easter in Normandy, and it's where my third host mom's family lives. And it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. It was cloudy, but then the sun would peek through the clouds, and it was just amazing to be on the beaches where World War II happened, and there's so much history. It was amazing. And then Easter morning, for the picture on the right is from the view from the church where my third host mom, where she got married, and I just thought that rainy, cloudy weather all the time in northern France, because that was what it was normally like. To go from that to sunny, 85, I can. We rode bikes everywhere. And I got to ride a Vespa for the first time, because they had one, so that was really cool. I went to London with my class, and it was a very fast-paced day. We didn't have a lot of time, but it was really cool because I love the royal family. I'm obsessed with playing and eating everything, so it was really cool to go and take pictures and have my friends be like, oh my gosh, you were there. And then I am very, Leo is so close to all the beaches on the English Channel that I was able to go to Calais, Dunkirk, the UK, and Arlo, where my family had a beachfront apartment, and we hiked on the dunes, and it was just, I'm a beach person, so my third best family was like my best friend, because every weekend we go to a different beach, and it was incredible. And in the top right corner, that's land sailing, and I didn't go with my family, but I went with Rotary, and it's really cool. You're like on the beach when the tide goes out, and it's really windy there, so you're land sailing, and it's a really cool experience that I never thought I would do. And I also went kayaking in the English Channel with Rotary on the Rotary weekend, so it was fun. And then Euro Tour was a 2-week trip all around Europe with other exchange students. We went to Strasbourg, Prague, and that was very different because I had never seen Eastern influences in a city before, and it really was weird how Eastern and Western civilization collided. You had the influence of like Russian influence and everything, but then you also had modern day, like some of the streets looked like European Paris, Austrian Paris. So that was fun. And Vienna it's very imperial, very royal, and they kept that feeling and that touch, even though they still have a parliament now. And then continuing, I went to Venice. I saw a glacier in Chamonix in the French Alps, and we actually got to go up and climb the glacier. It was really cool. It was freezing though. In June, it was like 45, 50 degrees, but down in that valley, it was easy. So it was weird going from such a different climate change. And then I didn't know we were going, or that it was part of the trip, but I actually got to visit the United Nations in Geneva, and it was just mind-blowing to see like real live conferences and problems being solved right in front of you. And it just made me feel like, see how small the world is, because I know so many people now, and it kind of felt like a mini, like a bigger scale of Rotary, because you're meeting so many people, you're interacting with so many people from around the world. And then my Rotary club in France was very small. It was about 30 people, but it felt like one big family. Everyone knew each other, everyone called each other by their first names, and we had a very nice dinner once a month where I spoke from the beginning, so it was a little rough, but they got to see my progress throughout the year. And on the bottom right are my two counselors. I had two counselors over there, and they felt like they were my grandmothers. They were just always there to me if I had a problem, and I met so many people, all the 25 exchange students over in France that were in my district. I can call my best friends. I have a house in every country that I went to travel, and some of them are back in the U.S. too, so we were planning trips together, and it was just really nice to know that there's community out there and that I was a part of it. And then my first family, there were 4 kids. One of them, we met seeing, was in Mexico this year, and I didn't meet him until late June when he came home. So that was cool because I took his place all year. I was friends with all his friends. I went to the parties he would have gone to, and it was really nice to meet him and share our exchange experiences. He's twins with Emilio, who is 17, who is in my my friends, and by the end of the year, I knew the entire senior grade plus the grade below me. So, then my second family was the Pisados, and I had one sister in the family, and they had 4 kids and all, but the others were off at college, so I didn't really get to see them. But she was like my sister, even when I wasn't living in the house with her. If I had a problem, I could go talk with her, I could go hang out with her, and she was one of my good friends too. And then my third family, I felt like the daughter, their third daughter, as they would call it, they introduced me as their third daughter to everyone I met. It made me feel like I was at home. The host mom and me, we both knitted and cross-stitched, and we would just talk for hours about everything. And I can actually feel like I'm part of their family now. And my oldest host brother, he was 18 and he was a senior with me. And so we all had this big group of friends, and so I knew him, and I knew his sister Louise before I got into the house. So I felt very comfortable going into a new change and changing families every time because I knew the families before I would go into them. And the bottom left, that was Easter dinner. We had a big Easter dinner in Normandy, so that was fun. I always felt like I was at home with them. And I never putting on a fake smile or anything like that. And I just want to thank you all so much for this opportunity, because without Rotary, I would not be where I am in my life, because I changed so much this year. I've met so many people. I know what I want to do in life, and I would not be going in the same direction that I'm going right now if it hadn't been for this exchange. So thank you so much, and I hope this